It was just this Christmas that went by, and things were getting really busy. I had to start buying presents for the whole family. I had just finished shopping, but I still need to grab a present for my little cousin. She's not very hard to shop for since my cousin is 4. She likes things like Peppa Pig and My Little Pony. She really liked, and when I said liked for a reason, Max and Ruby. So I decided to go out and start looking for a present. I figured something like a Max and Ruby DVD would have been perfect for her since she liked to watch it on a daily basis. However, Christmas meant that a lot of online DVDs were sold out on most places. So I went to look on eBay as well, and I figured that I would just not trust what the condition of the DVDs would have been in, so I was stuck in the rut for a while until that package arrived. I was at home, still scrolling through a stupid DVD until I heard the sound of something being pushed into my letterbox. I got a hold of it before my dog did and looked at the package. It seemed to be wrapped fairly badly, with what looks like grease marks and stains on it. Naturally, everyone would. I would decide to open the package. Inside was something that I could not explain. It was a Max and Ruby DVD, but I had never seen anyone like it online. It was like some little kid had drawn on the front cover with a marker, and the title was just Max and Ruby, and with what looked like a poorly drawn illustrated Max and Ruby on the front. There were no names or anything, but on the back, it had a list of 4 episodes with blunt titles. Episode 0001, Episode 0002, Episode 0003, Episode 0004. I quickly gave the DVD a watch over, and to my surprise, while all the episodes were in perfect quality, it seemed to have no flaws, as if it was a real DVD, with the homemade cover. The only thing I appeared that odd about the episode selection screen. The episodes had names, but they were all titled Max and Ruby 1, with all the numbers being changed as it went down the list. The actual selectional screen was just a plain white text with black text and nothing else. After giving it much thought, I decided to change the cover to something a little nicer by printing out a DVD cover that I had found on Google and tracked down the names of the episodes, so they were labeled correctly. So I left the episode screen alone because I figured it was just self-explanatory. Christmas went by and things were fine. I gave my little cousin her DVD and she was happy with it all throughout Christmas, but that was because she hadn't watched it yet. On Boxing Day, the family had gone out for lunch and left me to babysit my cousin. I wasn't too bothered by being left home alone. I figured that it was a good time to put on a DVD for her. I put the DVD and followed it to play, and while I was in the kitchen eating my dinner, from what I could hear, she had watched episodes 1 to 3 so far. I was just about to finish off my noodles when I heard my cousin screaming from the other room. Dropping everything, I ran to the living room and saw my cousin curled up into the ball on the floor screaming. I had looked up at the TV and felt my heart in my throat. What I caught a glimpse of was one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. It had what appeared to be a frame of Max and Ruby standing next to each other in complete darkness. It made it so horrible that there was lack of their faces. They had lost their nose and mouths, and their eyes were replaced with big black holes. The colors were disgustingly blood red, and there was a faint static in the background. The sound was replaced by what seemed like the Max and Ruby theme playing backwards, with the faint sound of the static in the mix of it all. It had to be one of the most disturbing things I have ever seen, and I have most have been on screen for at least 20 seconds before the screen went to black and our television turned off, which was weird because TVs don't usually turn off by themselves. I was able to calm my cousin down, telling her that it wasn't real, and she had a nightmare, as she had fallen asleep in front of the TV. However, I knew in my mind that this was completely real. My parents had rung me up and told me they were going to be out all night, so this was the best opportunity to look at this DVD more closely. I didn't mention it to them, and as soon as they hang up, I grabbed the DVD before opening it on my laptop, and as soon as it loaded, I noticed that episode 0004 had now been replaced with Rest in Peace, Mommy and Daddy, which was sent a deep chill down my back. Since my cousin was now asleep, I plugged in my earbuds so she can sleep without hearing anything. Normally an episode of Max and Ruby would feature 3 short stories, but this episode only had 1. It started off quite happily. Max and Ruby were playing tag in the garden, and their parents were on the porch watching them. However, something was off. The sound was playing in reverse, and the parents' faces that were that of sadness. It just panned to their mother and father, and the voice of deep sorrow, and the father spoke. "It's such a shame," he sighed. Then it cut to a short sound of static and then a loud scream, followed by the sound of two people choking. The sound so real, but it made me almost physically sick. Then the scene then switched to both Max and Ruby standing in front of what looked like a gravestone labeled, "Rest in peace, Mommy and Daddy." Two of them had no faces, and at this point there was no sound, apart from static. The scene remained on the screen for about a minute and a half before it cut to black. Then it changed to, again, showing Max and Ruby sitting in Ruby's room. Both of them were sobbing, and the sobs were so realistic and heart-wrenching that it sounded like if it was recorded from a real person mourning. What happened next was probably the most disgusting yet saddest thing I've ever witnessed. The scene had changed to Max sitting in his room. He was standing on a chair, and he did something really horrible. I just can't mention. My computer scene then faded and to black, and the static got louder, almost instantly, and then cut to Ruby walking in on her brother. She let out a horrific scream in the background and turned to black as the camera panned on her face. The sound of the chair being kicked and same noise from before had played. The picture of Ruby's face stayed on the screen for a good 5 minutes. This time her eyes had returned to the same gaping holes. Ruby started crying, and as before, there was no other facial features. The static only grew louder and drowned out the sound of cries. Then the scene cut back to the loud static, and when the screen returned, Ruby was standing, now on her own, with the garden by two gravestones. One was labeled "Rest in Peace, Mommy and Daddy," and the other, "Rest in Peace, Brother." At this point, it had already been stuck in my head and sitting in still sitting all shaken. The episode seemed to have come to an end at last, and an old computer noise started playing. I was about to eject the DVD when the same image popped up like it did on the TV. On this time, there was a text above the two rabbits which said, "Death is our only release." There were no credits, or nothing else. It stayed on this for a good few seconds before the DVD finally popped out on my laptop. I sat there trying to contemplate on what had just happened. In my shock and fear, I made a foolish decision to break the DVD up as much as I could before leaving the house afterwards. I shoved the pieces down the drain. Thankfully, I kept a few screenshots and saved them onto my laptop. The next couple of days went by, and without anything unusual happening. I had a few nightmares about the DVD, but luckily that was all. My cousin had gone back home along with the rest of her family. It was late at night, and my parents had gone out for dinner, leaving me to watch the TV. I heard something when it sounds like someone posting something through the door. At this point, the DVD had left my mind, since I hadn't told anyone about it. However, it came flooding back to me when I looked down at the letter right in front of me. It was just messily folded up, and it said, "Death is our only release." And that, my little pretties, was, well, Max and Ruby 0004, a Max and Ruby Lost Episode creepypasta. My final thoughts on this story? Well, it's been quite a long time since I last sat there and, well, touched this story, so I thought now this is a appropriate time to sit there and, go through this story again. So, I remember Shadow Reader did a review on this story, I think, well, sometime, I guess, maybe before his old channel was terminated, and he did say that the story had a lot of flaws with it. And, back then when I discovered this on Andal's channel, Creeps with Pasta, and, a couple others, I thought this story was, quite scary in that. But now I realize, this story, I'm gonna say, it was not good, but it wasn't terrible. Like, I mean, it might be terrible to some of you guys, but this is just my opinion. I'm definitely saying that now that this story does have a lot of issues that I kind of want to sit there and, go through certain issues with this with the pasta. So, I am going to start off by saying that this story was cliched. It was cliched. There were things of the story that didn't really make, a whole lot of sense. It just wasn't that good. Like, first of all, it starts off with, somebody going on eBay and looking for like a DVD, and then a package ends up being there, but there's like no reason why or how the DVD appeared there. Like, if you're going to do that, like add a DVD being randomly shoved in your mailbox or something, there has to be an explanation. Same thing what I could say with the Dragon Tales pasta. There needs to be a good explanation as to why that's happened, because if there isn't an explanation, then it just doesn't make any sense. And I was quite confused when I read this pasta again. I know it's been quite a while since I last sat there and, well, took a look at this pasta, but I thought, I should really go ahead and do this. Now, this story was just garbage. Nothing was even good about this story. It's just garbage. It just didn't look good, and that's the main issue. Is that it just didn't look good, and that's the one thing I have to say was disappointing, was that the story itself didn't look good, and I'm being completely honest. Like the gaping holes, like the blood red text, and like, oh god, like the blood red text, like the text, and people dying. Like, why does it always have to involve people dying? Like, if you're gonna include people dying in a creepypasta, at least put some like good effort into it. But in this case, it kind of did try to come up with something, but it fell flat. It just wasn't good. I know this is like a classic and old creepypasta, but, to be honest, I didn't really care for this story, like, after hearing, Shadow Reader's opinion on it. I'm not a fan of this story. I'm just being honest. I wasn't really crazy. Like, I used to like it, but now my opinion has kind of changed on this story. So, I'm sure I've heard a couple other people saying this story wasn't that great, and I would agree. This story does need a lot of work. Now, the grammar was alright for what it is. The grammar was mostly good. It wasn't terrible. Like, the grammar was not terrible or anything. Like, the grammar was, like, okay. Well, the grammar was good. Same with the sentence structuring and the paragraph structuring. But the storyline, it just was cliched. It just fell flat. That's the main reason why this story is just not that great. It just went flat. Like, it just, fell flat. Like, I could tell somebody was trying to come up with something different, but at the same time, it just didn't really work, and that's a very disappointing thing when I have to say about this story, is that it's just disappointing. Like, I just found this story to be, disappointing, and it just wasn't that great to even begin with. So that's kind of why I kind of, was like, what the hell did I just even read? Because, I just had mixed feelings with this story, and this story was not great. I'm being completely honest. Like, now I'm not saying that it's terrible or anything. I'm just saying it's, not that great. I'm just being honest. But, the grammar was, okay. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the grammar was actually, not terrible. It was good. Like, the grammar was, like, easy to read and that, but the story itself just didn't, make a whole lot of sense, and it was just, not that great, so it was kind of one of the reasons why I really, didn't really like this story. Another thing I could definitely say, it's another issue, is that, the author ended, like, I think the main thing is that even though it's like a classic creepypasta, it didn't, it didn't really sit out well for me. Like, it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to insult anybody in any way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to insult anybody. So I'm definitely saying that. I'm not trying to insult anyone here. I'm just saying it because it's just my honest opinion. This story was just... What I would suggest is maybe rewrite the entire story, take out the cliches unless there's a good reason why it's there, or at least make it so that it's believable in the sense. Maybe that might have, what I said made no sense, but I don't really care. But to be honest, I didn't really care for this story. It's just my opinion though, but if you like, I'm gonna say, it's a classic creepypasta, so I'm willing to kind of you know, give some benefit of the doubt that this pasta was probably written sometime, I guess. It's an old pasta, so I'm can kind of give that, a benefit of the doubt, but with all due sincerity, it just wasn't that great. Like, I mean, yes, like, if you're gonna have, like, a DVD showed up at your house, there has to be an explanation on how and why it got there. I know it may still seem cliched, but at least then, that way we would have, like, a better explanation as to why that's the case. So then that way, the story actually provided pretty good detail. But in this matter, though, it just didn't really work. It's not that great. I'm just being completely honest. It's just not that great. No, like, I'm just gonna kind of wrap up the review because I guess there's nothing really much to say. But I'm gonna sit there and say right now, and like I always continue to say, that this is simply my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regarding these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of the story, I'm gonna be nice and give this one a 4 out of 10. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10 because the grammar was good, and same with the sentence structuring, the paragraph structuring, but the story itself just needs a lot of work. It was cliched, and there was unnecessary stuff in the story that just didn't really, sit well with me. So I guess that's one of the reasons why I really didn't, like this story that much. So yeah, that's actually one of the reasons, but I'm gonna definitely say that right now. But oh yeah. And another thing, I don't know who the original author is, so I'm gonna leave this anonymous for now. But if I do find out who the original author is, I'll be sure to give him or her proper credit if I do find out who the original author is. So I'm definitely gonna say that now. So I guess that's all I have to really say. Now, anyways, with that being the case, and with that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what would you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell when I upload so then you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, I guess I'll please roll the outro because I'm out.